Well, the legislative session is getting underway this week, and as usual, I have got great access and talking time with my good friends in the 35th here, Representatives Dan Griffey and Travis Couture. What's up, guys? How are you?
Living the
How's it
dream,
going?
Jeff.
It is a big day in Olympia as things are really kind of kicking off with the State of the State address by Governor Ferguson. Now, we're recording this before he makes his actual speech to the joint session there in the state ledge. But it was still a good time to talk with you guys about what you think you're going to hear, how the year has changed. I remember last year as we were getting in, he was newly minted as governor, and you heard some things from the state of the state that you hadn't heard from past governor speeches like this, and it kind of gave you a little bit of hope. I'm wondering, I guess, first, has that continued through this year, and where are we at today? Travis, let's start with you.
Yeah, so obviously it's beginning of session, and you always have like some hope right at the you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You have some hope at the beginning that both sides can find ways to work together, and but we're going into kind of a supplemental year, a short session, a 60-day session where there isn't a whole lot of time to do a lot of things, but there's so many things to fix, and if the Speaker of the House's speech yesterday is an indication of what the route the governor might take today. It was a lot of finger pointing at the federal government and President Trump and tariffs and a whole lot of other things. And people can have disagreements about the Trump administration, but at the end of the day, a lot of the problems here in Washington originated before Trump ever took office. And so, it wasn't a really great indicator for how the rest of the session might go. And although, like you said, Bob Ferguson came his first day last session, and it was very bipartisan, and I want to work with both sides. I'm not sure if we'll hear that same Bob Ferguson today.
Dan, what do you say?
I don't have any high hopes that we're going to see the same Bob Ferguson, but I'll tell you that Bob Ferguson, that governor, said the things that Washington State needs. All government is a service industry for the many people that contribute to that, and I do think some of them in the majority here don't understand it, and I expect that I'll be frustrated at this speech. Let's just leave it at that.
What are you looking at? We had a great legislative send-off with you guys and State Senator McEwen last month or so at the Alderbrook. A lot of folks were in attendance hearing kind of what your priorities are, what your thoughts are, what they would like you to look at representing the 35th. Where are you jumping off on things like that?
Well, Jeff, I'm always going to have survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault. They're going to be near and dear, and those issues. I'll be working on that. Rep. Couture and I and several Democrats also are working on how sexually violent predators are released in the community. We're going to stay there, right? This needs to be done right, and the community protection needs to be 100%. But Jeff, I think the other thing you heard is all three of us think that there's a fiscal cliff that Washington State could be falling off. And there's two pathways. There's one with a slightly bumpy road where most services stick around in Washington State, and most Washingtonians kind of feel the same Washington, and maybe a Washington that's less expensive. And there's another one where we tax all the rich people, and all the rich people leave the state of Washington. They bring their businesses and their employment opportunities with them. And Washington State needs another billion or 2 million, a billion every dang legislative cycle. So I think all of us have to be fiscally conservative this year. We have to be smart about how we go. I'm following the lead of my dear seatmate on the decisions that are being made, but all of us have to articulate to every Washingtonian, we can't, there's two paths. There's one path we cannot take, and if we take it, it will be years and years of pain and damage.
Yeah, Travis, you are on the House Appropriations Committee there on your side of the aisle, and so you look closely at these budget numbers. You see the revenue come in and the revenue go out. And you've spoken very passionately about this over these last couple of years, where you've been part of that kind of inner communications with the group. What do you see, like Dan was talking about, these two different paths, and you included with that some of the time you've been able to spend with the governor talking about some of his potential thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, just to level set for people what we're facing here in Washington State, a $4.3 billion deficit, once again, after the largest tax increases in state history. Those large tax increases didn't solve a damn thing. The only thing that they did is hurt people, and the frustration I have, just for our constituents in the 35th, is that I see a lot of people suffering right now. We are one of the most expensive states to live in every measurable category, you name it: gas, groceries, rent, insurance, healthcare, childcare. We don't even have childcare for it to be expensive, right? And so we have this catalog of crises in our state, and continuously going back to the well, like the majority party or the governor want to do, of the only answer is to just raise taxes more, is a false promise. And it's not just one tax, it's the accumulation of all of them, right? We have business owners, small business owners in the 35th district right now who are thinking about moving to other states like Texas or Arizona or Idaho because of the new sales taxes and B&O taxes that were passed. It's just uncompetitive. And so this is what Reagan would call a time for choosing. We have a time to choose. And that choice is this. Do we want to go to the ant heap and continue to pile on more and more taxes? Because we've hit the Laffer curve and we're going to start seeing diminishing returns. As a matter of fact, we've already seen that. Or do we recognize this all for what it really is, a spending addiction? And do we rein in some of this reckless spending and create government efficiencies? And I've offered to work with the majority, the Democrats on the other side of the aisle, to help find those efficiencies. They might be in the majority, but I do want them to succeed, because if they succeed in getting a balanced budget that doesn't raise taxes, it will help all of us. But that's not what they want. And the governor, as a matter of fact, proposes not even balancing budgets anymore. Which I think is really wild. And so we're, like Dan said, we're heading towards this kind of fiscal cliff, this precipice, this time for choosing. And I don't know if our constituents can take much more of this. And I take a lot of their emotion and their feeling onto my chest and my shoulders when I come to this place. And I know Dan and Drew do as well. And it's hard for us because, well, we have to live in the same economy and the same community as everyone else, right? So we feel it too. But we have a heart for our people, what I'll call our people in the 35th and in Washington State. And we don't want to see suffering. We want people to be able to afford to get gas, groceries, and pay their rent and have a good life and raise their family here. We're just simply too unaffordable. And so we've got some big choices. But I think the overarching theme of the session will be the budget and taxes once again. And I just will note one more thing, and that is, they'll say it's a millionaires tax, income tax, that one of the big taxes they want to propose. It's not the only one, but no one really trusts, especially if you look over just recent history, that is a tax that will only remain on millionaires, or that we can trust the promises that it will be used in the form of tax relief to get rid of more aggressive taxes. Now that sounds great. But we've already seen this movie before. And I would just ask anyone listening, have you ever seen a major tax in Washington State be significantly rolled back or eliminated by the legislature? The answer is no. Never. Not a single time. I looked through the entire history of Washington State. It's never happened. It's only happened by the initiative of people. But that's not what we're talking about here. And at the end of the day, we've seen things like capital gains income tax, which they enacted. It is an income tax, and they've already increased the threshold. And then it was supposed to fund education, but they raided the account in the governor's new proposed budget to go spend on their deficit. And so, I mean, these are what a senator here called pie crust promises, easily made, easily broken. And if people who just in 2024 voted for an initiative that would literally ban income taxes, that was bipartisanly approved in 2024, are now willing to go back and shove through an income tax, then how can we trust them that will only remain on millionaires?
Dan, what are we going to do to kind of let the rest of the legislature know about all this and get their voices heard? We've talked over the years about different ways to connect, not only with you guys who are very accessible, not only just kind of around Mason County, and when you're not in Olympia, you're around town and people can find you, but getting more folks to explain to the legislators how these different types of taxes have really impacted them. Travis was reading my mind when he started talking about them not ever getting rolled back. I was wondering if there's ever a time where you see the impact of what happened here on some of these B&O taxes and different sales taxes, and there's a thought to go, well, maybe we should turn those back. Obviously, Travis just said that doesn't happen. And so how can we encourage the constituents in the 35th and across the state to reach out more, make their voices heard more? It's a big year. It's kind of jobs on the line this year too.
Well, there's so much. And so much unpacking your question. I think we're at a reset time. If there was ever a time for them to understand that they have to do a reset, now is that. They have to listen to people. I encourage everybody that's listening to this is to get a hold. You can get a hold of us and we'll share your stories. Send them in and we'll share them to other people. We read the actual impact stories on the House floor. We won't read their name, we'll cover it up, but we'll say, Jennifer from Shelton says, this is what's done. We do our best to educate. And most of my job here, Jeff, you've been interviewing me for, I think, 14 years now. Most of my job is to educate and inform people on my ideas and make sure they know why that my ideas are better and build buy-in. And I can usually do that. Travis and Drew, we're kind of special and unique that way. We can push back very hard, but we can work aggressively on different topics. Jeff, there's a lot of things that's got to get fixed. When it comes to DUIs are off the chart in Washington State. We're not prosecuting enough of them because, one, we don't have enough defenders. Another thing we got to work on. But our WSP is not processing. Their drug lab, our state crime toxicology lab is not processing the samples fast enough. The DUI cases are being thrown out. Here's the problem. If somebody that has a substance abuse addiction problem, it is total in their life, right? And if you give them easy outs, like there's a couple dismissals, they won't seek help and they will continue to engage in those behaviors. And one of these days, Jeff, God forbid, one of my family members or one of your family members will be on the road at that very time, that person who we didn't go after hard enough. So we're going really hard after State Patrol. They asked for $14 million last year to get the state toxicology lab up and running and processing the samples within 90 days. They haven't done any of that work. So we're going to be trying really hard to move to private certified labs as a stopgap measure until the State Patrol can get their act together. But it's a little frustrating. The chief of the State Patrol told me point blank last year, you give me $14 million in a year and a half, 2 years, I'll be down to 90 days. And he is still about a year out.
Well, what's interesting too about that is I feel like I read a press release or an article or somebody was talking about lowering the threshold from 0.08 to 0.05 or something like that. And what you're saying is it could be whatever number, because they're not.
It could be 3.0 and we're not going to catch them.
They're not getting
3.0 might be that they would all drive off the road, right?
But
we're not doing anywhere near enough on this absolute serious addictive problem. We have very, very dangerous people on our roads right now, and innocent, God-fearing Washingtonians are in jeopardy. And you hit the nail on the head. There are some here that say the way we're going to save people from DUI crashes is to lower the blood alcohol percentage to 0.005. I really think it should be 0. That's how I do it in my life. But I think you have to have a number, a scientific number. if you're not going to enforce 0.08, 0.05 is going to do nothing but cost us money in changing all of our RCWs and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm focusing on, I think the rest of the delegation is focusing on, is enforce the dang laws that you have on the books and actually go after those people that are injuring at an alarming rate Washingtonians on the streets.
As we move through the session, and I look forward to hearing next week from you guys about your thoughts on the state of the state. I want to cover some other topics that I know are near and dear to your heart: education funding, child care, again, survivors of domestic and sexual abuse, all the things that you really put a major focus on for the 35th. But I'm going to leave it here with that one. As always, it's good to talk with you guys, and we will check in next week around the same time on what else is going on in the last week. So Representative Dan Griffey, Representative Travis Couture, I'll put the links to your websites in the show notes. And thank you so much. Good to see you guys.
Thanks,
Nice
Jeff.
seeing you, Jeff. Take care.